Meredith Rosenberg, and I am here for a very simple reason. This is a very important conversation, and it's such a privilege for me to be able to kick it off. It's at the nexus of education, the changing workforce, the changing workplace, our kids' future, and opportunity for all, a conversation that's so fundamental to the future of this country. And what's my perspective? I sit in a very large global executive search firm. I work with the most compelling leaders in education and technology. To have education, innovation, diversity, inclusion come together at this event right now, that is powerful. We can lead by example, by being courageous, asking the right questions, truly listening to honest feedback, holding ourselves accountable, and making visible efforts. In education, most of us agree on the goal of exceptional outcomes for students, but we don't all agree on the execution of how to achieve these outcomes. So ask yourself, are you the kind of leader that will take the hard steps to put in place the building blocks that can change organizations, innovating and making decisions that will improve outcomes for future generations, but might be hard or unpopular with your stakeholders, employees, founders, donors, or will you continue with the status quo just because it's easier? The innovators whom we are honoring today and who are speaking today, they have been courageous. They have not followed the status quo, and they have led by example. Henry.
Good evening, ASU GSV. No, let me try that again. Good evening, ASU GSV. Oh, okay. I love it. So it's great to be back in sunny San Diego for this incredible event. And just want to congratulate Deb and Michael for putting together an incredible conference once again. Again, my name is Henry Hips. I'm a Deputy Director at the Bill and Melinda Gates program, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And we have been a longtime sponsor of this event and want to thank Deb and Michael for their longtime partnership. And this is one of my favorite parts of the year, like all of the sessions, the endless side meetings. This is still one of my favorite parts, and it's an opportunity for us to honor a handful of what are actually many innovators of color in our space that very often are not celebrated in this magnitude, and that's one of the reasons why this excites me. So one, I also want to thank Deb and Michael for the continued focus on diversifying the audience members. And that is very much connected to the spirit of this award and the recognition that if we, in fact, are passionate and focused on public education and ultimately successful post-secondary opportunities and careers for every American, that we really do need to be focused on equitable outcomes and truly mean that it is for all folks, regardless of race and class, regardless of zip code. And ultimately, that's what this award is about, is celebrating folks who are innovators without qualification. They are innovators. And their focus has been and will continue to be on equitable outcomes for all folks, and specifically thinking about serving those who have been historically underserved. And so with that, one of the things that we struggle with every year is actually the committee voting on who the award winners are. And this year, I'm excited because it's actually such a close vote. It ended up being two folks, and two folks who are good friends of mine and good friends of the work. And so I want to go ahead and announce our two award winners for the year. Many of you know them and their incredible work. And I'll introduce them briefly and then ask them to come up. So first, Jaime Casap. Jaime, many of you know, is an incredible evangelist for the work. He has been focused on innovation in education and focused on equitable outcomes for all students for a long time. He's a first-generation American. His people are Argentino. They settled in New York in Hell's Kitchen before it was sexy and before $25 tacos. From there, he did some groundbreaking work in Phoenix with the Phoenix Coding Academy, which was teaching coding skills to low-income students far in advance of the movement around coding that you guys are familiar with today. What you know him for is his work as the chief education evangelist for Google. And if you've ever heard him speak, he speaks with passion and deep commitment. He pulls no punches, and he always moves the conversation forward. One other point I would like to make is he's also a published author. He has a book out called On Our Street, Our First Talk About Poverty, and it is further evidence of his clear focus on serving the underserved. So with that, I want to say congratulations, man.
Thank you. Can you hold this for me? All right, thank you. Thank you, Henry. So first I want to thank the summit. I want to thank Deborah. I want to thank Michael for first having this category. Second, putting the work that they put into this. I've been coming to the ASU GSV Summit since it was happening in the conference room at SkySong at ASU. How many of you were there that first time? Yeah, clap it up. We need you guys. Next year will be 10 years that we've been doing that. So I want to thank Deborah and Michael and the team. I know that Deborah and Michael and the team here at GSV are committed to diversity, committed to representation both of people of color and women. And I know that on Thursday, because I have these conversations with Deborah all the time, that on Thursday she's going to start talking about how to do even more next year. So she'll keep doing that. I also want to thank the folks who nominated me for this and for the committee who voted. There's nothing like being nominated and recognized by your peers. There's nothing like that. It just makes me want to work harder. But I just want to talk a little bit about the goal of the work that I do, because it's pretty simple. Because I believe that education disrupts poverty. I believe education can change a family's destiny, oftentimes in just one generation. And I know this firsthand because I am a first-generation American from New York City. Like Henry stole my joke about the $25 tacos. But I know that if it not for education, I wouldn't be here today. And I was able to be here because of education and a little luck. And what I think we should all work harder on is to try to eliminate luck as a requirement to getting out of communities like Hell's Kitchen, New York, and to replace luck with opportunity. So I'm thrilled to accept this award. I want to talk a little bit about how what we need to do more than anything is present opportunities for students, especially students who are growing up the way I grew up. And I can believe one of two things. I can believe that I have a 400 IQ, and that's why I'm here standing in front of you. Or I can believe that there are millions of kids who are just like me, living and growing up in communities like Hell's Kitchen, New York, from the 70s and 80s. Now, my wife will tell you that I do not have a 400 IQ. So we will accept the second idea, which is that there are millions of kids who are just like me in our communities. And what we need to do more than anything is create opportunities for those students, for those kids, so that they can have the opportunity to solve the problems that they're interested in solving. So again, thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and look forward to talking more in the future.
All right, like I said, one reason I loved the way this year's outcome played out was because we got to celebrate two folks. So it is my pleasure to announce the second Innovator of Color Award to my good friend, Phyllis Lockett. So anybody that knows knows Phyllis knows that she represents Chicago to the fullest. And it sounds like we probably have a Chicago contingent somewhere over here. So Phyllis is a product of Chicago public schools and a proud daughter not only of that system, but of public school teachers. She was the founder of New Schools for Chicago, where she helped open 80 new schools and helped grow 13 charter networks in an environment that actually had no charter networks prior to her work. She then moved on to found Leap Innovations, which many of you are familiar with, in 2014 to catalyze and scale personalized learning in K-12 schools. They've worked with more than 120 public schools in Chicago public school system and have had remarkable results. They've been a partner of the Gates Foundation as well for some time, and we've been excited to see how the work has continued to evolve. And that makes it even more exciting to be able to share the stage with Phyllis and celebrate her tonight. So with that, please welcome her for her remarks. Once again, Phyllis Lockett, Leap Innovation.
Thank you all so much. This is such an honor. I just want to thank God, first and foremost, in all of his glory and what he has done in my life, for my amazing, amazing team. Leap Innovations wouldn't exist without the Leap team members that are just extraordinary, and the fearless, brave, extraordinary educators in Chicago that have stepped out of their comfort zone to innovate and elevate our kids. Thank you. I also have to thank a few game changers, people who come into your life. You know, you have people who come into your life and completely shift where you are. And, you know, if I have to give a shout out to Kim Smith and Jim Shelton, who over 10 years ago planted the seeds around this new learning ecosystem that could bring supply and demand together to work effectively to innovate and create a whole new learning opportunity for kids. And that planted the seeds for me to think about Leap Innovations. And then my sister, Deborah Quazzo, she's not Black, but she is my sister, who convinced me several years ago to go to this conference at ASU SkySong. And I was so inspired by the discussion and the individuals that were there that I stayed an extra day and wrote out the concept for Leap Innovations. So today, we have created an innovation hub in Chicago that is connecting educators and innovators to reimagine what learning can be. Our educators are reimagining their classrooms, they're redesigning for their practices to tailor learning for students every single day. We are working with over 40 ed tech partners, some of the best ed technology companies in the country that are coming to Chicago to pilot and to work with our educators to learn how they can best deliver and develop solutions that best fit the needs of our educators and our students. And that collaboration is what is driving incredible results. I believe personalized learning is the ultimate way where we are going to get to equity for every child, valuing every single student, no matter how they show up or where they're from, meeting them where they are, recognizing their differences, not as deficiencies, but as an opportunity for growth. That is what we are proving out. And I have to say that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for so many individuals in this room who took a bet on me and my idea before we proved anything out. And the truth of the matter is, there are not enough people who look like me that are getting access to those resources. And also, to be honest with you, I am not that special. There are thousands of tremendous people of color out there who have phenomenal ideas that we need to be investing in. We have got to invest in the people who have sat in the classrooms, who have lived in the neighborhoods, who have experienced and are more proximate to the needs of our kids and our students. And I can't help but to think and reflect on this 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination and his words, that we are connected and we are linked to an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of history. And we can't reach our destiny if we are not proximate enough to the students that we're trying to serve, and if we are not willing to invest in the people who look like me that are trying to serve them. So thank you so much. I am so honored that you all took a leap of faith and invested in me. Thank you.